I am a rich young lady when throwing the embroidered ball to choose a husband. The maid who grew up with me advised me to throw it to a poor scholar with a promising future. I said okay, but then turned around and threw the embroidered ball to the powerful minister Regent Prince, who was passing by on official business. The man full of murderous aura approached me step by step. You really want to marry this prince? It is not too late to change your mind now. My maid was so anxious she almost cried, shaking her head vigorously to signal me to refuse. I gave the man a sweet smile. I'll marry you. Chuntao thought she hid it well, but little did she know I had long discovered her secret affair with the poor scholar. Miss, although scholar.I is poor, he is ambitious and good-looking too. You two are a match made in heaven. This servant will arrange him in the most prominent spot, so please don't throw it to the wrong person. Chuntao, the maid who grew up with me, urgently whispered in my ear. The area in front of the embroidery tower was already packed with people ready to catch the embroidered ball. Scholar.I, wearing a long robe washed until faded, stood in the crowd. That handsome face of his was very eye-catching among all the men. Among all these people here to catch the embroidered ball today, he was indeed the most outstanding. I nodded to show I agreed with Chuntao's words and waved my hand to let her go down and prepare. Miss Cheng, look at me. I am strong and obedient. I'll do whatever you tell me to. Look at that rough, dark skin of yours. How could a delicate young lady like Miss Cheng stand it? Choose me instead. I've got a strong body and a perky butt, plus I am well educated. As long as the Cheng family is willing to help me, I'll surely secure an official position in the future. The men rushed to recommend themselves one after another, all wanting to become the son-in-law of the Cheng family, the wealthiest family in Yong'an City. Scholar.I squeezed in the crowd, his fair face flushed bright red as he angrily rebuked them to maintain their dignity. Soon, Chuntao led the Cheng family servants and escorted him to the front position. After another quarter of an hour, Chuntao jogged back up to the embroidery tower. Miss, everything has been arranged. You can throw it now. I gazed into the distance. A group of riders was approaching the embroidery tower. I smiled and nodded. All right then. Chuntao was even more excited than I was. Her pretty smiling face flushed pink. Miss Scholar.I is right there. You must throw it accurately. Don't worry. I held the embroidered ball and, under everyone's expectant gazes, threw it out with force. The crowd cheered and scrambled for it, but the embroidered ball sailed over head after head, finally landing steadily in the arms of the black-robed man on horseback. The man froze for a moment before realizing what it was. He caught the embroidered ball with one hand, his sharp eyes narrowing slightly, standing in the embroidery tower. I smiled at him with crescent-shaped eyes. You caught my embroidered ball, so you are mine now. How dare you? Do you know who you are speaking to? Get over here right now and apologize to my lord. I was frightened by the words of the guard beside the man, like a startled little deer, gazing at the man with watery eyes. A flash of interest flickered extremely quickly in the man's eyes as he dismounted and walked step by step towards the embroidery tower. Although the crowd didn't know the exact identity of the man in black, they were intimidated by the murderous aura emanating from him and hurriedly cleared a path for him. As the man approached, I only felt my heart beating fiercely. He was far better looking than in the picture book. The man didn't miss the fleeting adoration in my eyes, and the cold air around him unconsciously softened a bit. My name is Gao Yan. Are you sure you want to marry this king? The name Gao Yan was synonymous with merciless killing in the Dayu kingdom, able to stop children's crying at night. Chundao's face instantly turned pale, almost crying with anxiety, shaking her head vigorously to signal me to refuse. I didn't tremble with fear like the others. Instead, I gave Gao Yan a sweet smile. I'll marry you. Gao Yan hadn't expected that after revealing his identity, the little girl before him would still dare to marry him. Little girl. This king doesn't know how to be tender with women. I don't know how many women have died under this king's sword. Do you still dare to marry me? I pouted unhappily. I am not a little girl. My name is Cheng Ningju. Our marriage is destined by heaven. No one can go back on it. Having fought and struggled through bloodshed and carnage for so many years, this was the first time Gao Yan had a woman choose him so resolutely. His heart, like a pool of stagnant water, suddenly rippled with faint waves. Fine, here is a token. Wait for this king to come marry you. Gao Yan untied the jade pendant from his waist and handed it to me. then turned around and led his people down from the embroidery pavilion. After Gao Yan completely disappeared at the street corner, Chun Dao finally patted her chest and spoke up. "Miss, you are being foolish. Marrying the Regent King is a dead end. If Master and Madam find out, how worried they'll be." Scholar Ruan's wishful thinking fell through. He couldn't help himself and ran up to the embroidery pavilion. "Miss Cheng, although the Regent King is ruthless and cruel, he is not someone who takes by force. As long as you go with me now and have your father bring out silver to compensate and apologize, there is still a chance to turn things around." Chun Dao also chimed in to persuade. "Miss, Scholar Rowan is the smart one. He immediately thought of a solution. You should hurry and do as he says." "That is right. We'll consummate the marriage tonight to avoid any complications." I stepped back several paces to distance myself from Scholar Rowan. "Scholar Rowan, please conduct yourself properly. I am now the Regent King's fiancée. If he finds out you are publicly taking liberties with me and flirting, I wonder which part of you he'll chop off first." Iran's body stiffened, fear appearing in his eyes. "Miss Cheng, how can you be so ungrateful? I am thinking of you, yet you want to get me killed. This truly breaks my heart." "Miss, what are you thinking? Although being the Regent King's consort sounds prestigious, you need to be alive to hold that position. Someone as wonderful as Scholar Rowan is the perfect match for you." "Shut up, Chun Dao. You are just a servant. When is it your turn to meddle in this young lady's marriage? Chun Dao grew up with me and even saved my life once. I've always treated her like a sister, so she gradually started to see herself as the master too." Chun Dao was startled by my scolding and quickly knelt on the ground to apologize. "I am sorry, miss. This servant was only too concerned about you. That is why I said the wrong thing. I didn't tell Chun Dao to get up. Instead, I let my gaze wander between her and Scholar Ruan. Chun Dao, I said, I would help you find a good family. Since you think Scholar Ruan is so wonderful, how about I take the initiative and marry you off to him?" Chun Dao had dreamed of marrying Scholar Rowan. Upon hearing my words, she immediately lowered her head bashfully. "This servant will follow Mrs. Decision entirely." Scholar Rowan didn't expect things to develop this way. He panicked and quickly waved his hands in refusal. A man must establish his career before starting a family. "I still have books to study. I'll take my leave first." Scholar Rowan left in a hurry, leaving only Chun Dao kneeling on the ground in sorrow. I paid no more attention to Chun Dao and returned to the estate to console my angry parents. I told them that someone who truly does practical things for the common people couldn't possibly be a bloodthirsty person. His bad reputation was mostly spread by his political enemies. My parents were skeptical about my words, but they also knew it was a done deal and could only hope my guess was right. The Regent Prince kept his word. A month later, he rode up on a tall horse bringing generous betrothal gifts to our door. I brought my lavish dowry and married into the Regent Prince's mansion in a grand procession. Wearing a bright red bridal veil, I smiled like a little fox who'd gotten her way. This marriage was something I schemed for. I deliberately chose to throw the embroidered ball when Gao Yan came to Yong'an City. No one knew that I'd always had improper designs on Gao Yan. The bridal sedan landed, and a pair of large hands with distinct knuckles reached into the sedan. I placed my small hand on top, confidently entrusting myself to the owner of those hands. Amidst everyone's congratulations, just as we were about to complete the final bow to finish the ceremony, an anxious male voice interrupted. "Ningju, you can't marry the Regent Prince. We've already pledged ourselves to each other in secret." The crowd automatically parted to both sides, making way for the man who spoke to come forward. "Ruan Ming, my daughter is pure and innocent, with no connection to you whatsoever. Don't you dare spout nonsense." Master Cheng was so angry his beard trembled, and he couldn't help but shout in fury. "Master Cheng, I know you look down on my family's poverty, but there is a saying, don't bully the poor youth, fortune turns in 30 years. Once I pass the imperial exams in the future, I definitely won't disgrace your daughter." "Ruan Ming, how can you repay kindness with enmity? If it weren't for my Cheng family helping you out, you and your mother would have starved to death long ago." Master Cheng's words made a flash of embarrassment quickly cross Ruan Ming's face, but he soon returned to normal. Master Cheng, I, Ron, have always kept your great kindness and virtue in my heart, so please rest assured I will absolutely not let Ningju down. You, shameless. My father couldn't argue with Ruan Ming and was quickly defeated. Ruan Ming's eyes carried obvious smugness as he walked toward me step by step. Ningju, I know you were just trying to upset me, so you deliberately threw the embroidered ball to the regent. I can kneel and apologize to you. Please stop making a scene and come home with me, okay? Hearing Ruan Ming speak with such convincing detail, the guests present subconsciously believed his words and began to condemn me one after another. Miss Cheng, even if you want to climb the social ladder, you shouldn't toy with the regent. You better think about how you are going to die. Exactly. This is the first time I've seen such a fickle woman. If you didn't fancy Ruan Ming, you shouldn't have gotten involved with him in the first place. Seeing everyone on his side, Ruan Ming wasn't even afraid of Gao Yan, who stood before him with the reputation of being the living king of hell. Regent, you are magnanimous. Please don't be angry with Ningju, just let her leave with this humble one. Gao Yan's large hand on my waist hadn't withdrawn yet, so I took the opportunity to cover it with my soft little hand. Husband, Ruan Ming is lying. I have no relationship with him whatsoever. I don't know which word touched Gao Yan, but his arm around my slender waist tightened even more. This king believes you. Just 4 short words, yet they gave me the courage to face all the gossip and slander. Ruan Ming panicked. He never expected that the legendarily cruel and bloodthirsty man would actually protect a woman of dubious reputation. Regent King, don't be deceived by her. I have evidence. Look, this is the love token she gave me. Ruan Ming pulled out a handkerchief from his chest and presented it to Gao Yan with trembling hands. Gao Yan showed no intention of taking it. His overwhelming aura made Ruan Ming feel the urge to turn and run. But for the sake of his future wealth and glory, he had no choice but to force himself to take this gamble. Regent King, with your noble status, what kind of woman can't you marry? How could you want second-hand goods? In his panic, Ruan Ming's words came out without thinking. Samoni, seized Ruan Ming. Gao Yan's voice was authoritative, making everyone present involuntarily shudder. Regent King, what are you doing? Cheng Ningju is my woman. Even if you are the Regent King, you cannot abuse your power to forcibly take another man's wife. Ruan Ming flailed his hands wildly, trying to break free from the guard's restraint. Wait, Regent King, Ruan Ming has a point. Detaining him like this will only make your reputation worse. In the end, it is Cheng Ningju who is indecent. Not punishing her is already a tremendous grace. In this king's opinion, why not just let these wild lovebirds have each other? Prince Zhe waved the folding fan in his hand, looking at Gao Yan with an ambiguous smile. Ruan Ming saw that Prince Zhe finally spoke up to help him, and his anxious heart finally settled down. Prince Zhe, this commoner girl has been wronged. The handkerchief in Ruan Ming's hand is not mine at all. Seeing the timing was right, I hurriedly spoke up to defend myself. Hearing me deny it, Ruan Ming immediately retorted, "Impossible. This handkerchief was personally given to me by Chun Dao. She said you embroidered it overnight, and the bamboo embroidered on it perfectly represents you." I didn't continue arguing with Ruan Ming, but instead had Chun Dao confront him. Chun Dao had never seen such a grand scene before and fell to her knees with a thud. Reporting to the Regent Prince and Prince Zhe, the handkerchief in Scholar Rowan's hand was indeed given to him by this servant. But that handkerchief was not embroidered by my young miss. It was embroidered by this servant herself. Ruan Ming hadn't expected Chun Dao to betray him, and his eyes immediately widened in disbelief. "Chun Dao, this is before the princes. You'd better tell the truth, otherwise it is a capital offense punishable by beheading." Ruan Ming tried to use threats to make Chun Dao change her story. Chun Dao was so frightened her whole body trembled and even her voice shook as she spoke. "This servant dare not lie. Scholar Ruan can check the lower right corner of the handkerchief. There is a character for peach embroidered there." Hearing Chun Dao's words, Ruan Ming hurriedly checked the lower right corner of the handkerchief, and indeed found a very small character for peach. He trusted his own charm too much, absolutely certain he had Spring Peach completely under his control. So after getting the handkerchief, he didn't carefully inspect it at all. Everyone saw Ruan Ming's reaction and knew that Spring Peach wasn't lying. Gao Yan's sharp, icy gaze fell upon Ruan Ming like something tangible. Ruan Ming has slandered the Prince Regent's consort. Strip him of his Yusai title and ban him from the imperial examinations for life. Drag him out for 50 heavy strokes of the cane and immediately expel him from the capital city. With just a few sentences, Gao Yan completely severed Ruan Ming's path to Qingyun. From now on, he could only be one of the lowly commoners he despised most, but first he'd have to survive those 50 strokes of the cane. Ruan Ming never expected things to turn out this way and hurriedly cast a pleading look at Princey for help. Princey distanced himself with disgust, making it clear he no longer wanted anything to do with him. Unable to withstand the blow, Ruan Ming's eyes rolled back and he fainted dead away. Let me interrupt for a moment. Notice Cheng Ningju's second move. She didn't directly expose the affair between Ruan Ming and Spring Peach, but instead first made Spring Peach choose sides, then used Spring Peach's testimony to completely destroy Ruan Ming. Core logic, first layer trap. Make Spring Peach choose between Ruan Ming and Cheng Ningju. Spring Peach chose self-preservation, second layer trap. Use the handkerchief Spring Peach embroidered herself as evidence. Ruan Ming didn't even inspect it before using it to frame Cheng Ningju, third trap, using Gao Yan's hand to ruin Ruan Ming. Revoke his Yusai title and forbid him from taking the imperial examinations for life. Why is this kind of counterkill the most lethal? Because Cheng Ningju made each person who schemed against her destroy themselves with their own greed. Chuntao betrayed her because she wanted to marry Ruan Ming, and in the end personally sent Ruan Ming to hell. Ruan Ming slandered her because he wanted to curry favor with the Cheng family, and in the end was permanently stripped of his qualification for the imperial examinations. Predictive countermeasure, Cheng Ningju had known all along that Ruan Ming would come to make trouble, so she prepared 2 contingency plans in advance, proposing in front of everyone to marry Chuntao to Ruan Ming, testing Ruan Ming's true feelings, letting Chuntao choose her own stance, using Chuntao's survival instinct to counterkill Ruan Ming. Chuntao watched Ruan Ming's miserable fate, tears falling down. She had truly loved Ruan Ming and once fantasized about growing old together with him. But when the young lady wanted to grant them a marriage, the blatant disdain in his eyes pierced her heart with pain. Chuntao finally understood that Ruan Ming's previous words about marrying her as his legitimate wife once he achieved success and fame were lies. When he was just a poor Shutai, he already looked down on her, let alone after becoming a high official. Without the man's love, she still had to keep living. So when Cheng Ningju asked her to choose, she stood on Cheng Ningju's side. Although the wedding ceremony had many twists and turns, fortunately the result was good. In the bridal chamber, the wedding attendant spoke various auspicious words. I had Chuntao give her a thick pouch, and only then did she leave with a face full of smiles. When only Chuntao and I were left in the room, she dropped to her knees before me with a thud. Miss, I've tried to atone for my wrongs. Can you forgive me now? I didn't reach out to help Chuntao up, but instead had her answer while kneeling. Chuntao, when you had a change of heart and conspired with Scholar Rowan to scheme against me, our bond as master and servant ended. For the sake of you once saving me and correcting your mistakes in time, I am sparing your life. From now on, never appear before me again. Chuntao understood my temperament. I looked soft and easy to bully, but my nature was actually very strong-willed. Whatever I decided, I would never change. After Chuntao left crying, footsteps sounded outside the door. I quickly straightened my dress, put on my sweetest smile, and fantasized in my heart about what was going to happen next. As the footsteps drew closer and closer, my heartbeat grew faster and faster. The scale rod lifted my red veil, and before my eyes appeared a stunningly handsome face as if carved by divine craftsmanship. All gazes met in the air, making me blush involuntarily, my throat tightening somewhat. Husband, we should drink the nuptial wine. All right. Unlike when in front of others, Gao Yan's voice was surprisingly gentle. I don't know if it is because I can't hold my liquor, or because the male beauty before me is too enticing, but I just feel my whole body heating up, my heart racing as if it is about to jump out. Gao Yan takes in all my reactions. He chuckles softly, bends down and scoops me up with one arm. My lady, I am a normal man. I have no intention of sleeping in separate rooms. Gao Yan's words make me so embarrassed that I bury my head directly into his chest. replying to him in a muffled voice. I am afraid of pain, be gentle. All right. Gao Yan carries me toward the bright red wedding bed, gently placing me on it. Just as his tall body is about to cover mine, a knocking sound rings out. Prince Regent, the nanny from the Empress Dowager's side, has come. The Empress Dowager's heartache has flared up again, and she wishes to see you. The 4 words Empress Dowager instantly put me on high alert. I've heard about this Empress Dowager. Before she was married, she and Gao Yan were childhood sweethearts. Later, she caught the eye of the old emperor and entered the palace, and the perfect pair could never be together again. It is said that Gao Yan helped the new emperor ascend the throne and stabilize the court, all for this Empress Dowager. Some even say that Gao Yan has remained unmarried all these years because he is waiting for the Empress Dowager. Just as I am lost in wild thoughts, my lips feel something warm and soft. Gao Yan has actually leaned down to kiss me. My lady, don't let your mind wander. I have no romantic feelings for the Empress Dowager. The precious night is short. Let's not waste it. I am shocked by Gao Yan's words. I really didn't expect that such a cold person could actually say something so passionate. I obediently wrapped my arms around his neck, no longer caring about the woman's pleading cries outside the door, fully enjoying everything he brought me. I'd been craving his body for a long time. As expected of the man I chose myself, his stamina is amazing. I don't know how many rounds we went until I fell into an exhausted sleep, and only then was he willing to let me go. Gao Yan's parents died early, so I have no parents-in-law to serve. I just need to take care of myself and manage the enormous Regent Prince's mansion. I was leaning against the railing, feeding the koi in the lake, when someone from the palace arrived. Regent Princess, the Empress Dowager requests your presence. Please come with this old servant. The messenger was the most favored old nanny by the Empress Dowager's side. I couldn't refuse the Empress Dowager's decree. After giving a few instructions to the butler in the mansion, I followed her into the palace. The old nanny led me directly to the Empress Dowager's bedchamber. From afar, I could see a woman in luxurious robes standing among the flowers. She seemed troubled, her brows slightly furrowed, which made her all the more pitiable. As we drew closer, the woman's beauty became even clearer, truly worthy of being the beauty chosen at first sight by the late emperor. She really was breathtakingly gorgeous. The Empress Dowager also saw me. She dismissed all the attendants and gently took my hand. They all say a Yan married a beauty, and seeing you today, the rumors are indeed true. Your Majesty, the Empress Dowager flatters me too much. This subject's wife has only common looks, not worth mentioning before your Majesty. It is not false modesty. Though I am good-looking, I can't compare to the Empress Dowager's beauty. What use is beauty? In the end, he still married someone else. Miss Cheng, the reason I called you here today is not just to see you, but also to tell you about some of a Yan's daily habits. Since you've married him, you naturally need to take good care of him. The Empress Dowager calls Gao Yan by the affectionate Yan, yet addresses me as Miss Cheng. Clearly she doesn't acknowledge my relationship with Gao Yan, and the ambiguity she is deliberately displaying is obviously meant to drive a wedge between Gao Yan and me. But she underestimates me. While her words do make me uncomfortable, they're not enough to create a rift between Gao Yan and me. Please speak, Your Majesty, the Empress Dowager. This subject's wife will certainly take careful note of everything. The Empress Dowager didn't expect this reaction from me. Her eyes involuntarily took on a sharp edge, and she stopped pretending to be gentle. Miss Cheng, you are merely a merchant's daughter, while Yan is the Regent Prince, second only to one and above 10,000. Why do you think he would marry you? I blinked innocently and naively. I asked my husband, and he said it was love at first sight. He just loves how young and cute I am. Though Gao Yan never said anything about love at first sight, judging from his behavior last night, he must have feelings for me. Besides, when you are out in the world, your status is what you make of it. Since the Empress Dowager is being so rude, there is no need for me to keep playing the doormat. If she is determined not to let me off, then acting humble won't help anyway. Ha ha ha, fine, Miss Cheng sure has some nerve. You are relying on Yan's favor to defy me, aren't you? But you'll regret this very soon. In Yan's heart, I am the most important woman to him. A flash of viciousness crossed the Empress Dowager's eyes. Before I could react to what she was about to do, she had already grabbed my hand and slapped it hard against her own face. Regent Princess Consort, how could you hit me? The Empress Dowager, who just moments ago was like a tigress bursting with fighting spirit, instantly transformed into a delicate little lamb, weakly collapsing to the ground. Hearing footsteps approaching, I didn't have time to think. I hurriedly threw myself to the ground and grabbed the Empress Dowager's hand, slapping it hard against my own face. Seeing His Majesty the Emperor and Gao Yan surrounded by attendants, my eyes instantly reddened, and tears silently slid down my cheeks. The Empress Dowager hadn't expected me to react so quickly and so ruthlessly. For a moment, I had actually stolen her thunder, the most crucial interruption. Noticed Cheng Ningju's third move. She didn't wait for the Empress Dowager's false accusation to succeed, but instead preemptively slapped herself, turning herself into the victim. Core logic: the Empress Dowager's plan: first slap Cheng Ningju, then play the victim, forcing Gao Yan to choose between his childhood sweetheart and his newlywed wife. Cheng Ningju's countermeasure: be even more ruthless than the Empress Dowager. Directly slap her own face red and swollen. So the first thing Gao Yan sees is his wife being bullied. Why be more ruthless to herself? Because in power games, whoever is hurt more badly holds the moral high ground. The Empress Dowager was just pretending to be weak, but Cheng Ningju actually injured herself for real. The most shocking detail: Gao Yan looked at my red and swollen face, bent down to hold me in his arms, and didn't glance at the Empress Dowager even once the entire time. This is the power of willing sacrifice. Cheng Ningju was willing to strike herself hard, and in return gained Gao Yan's unhesitating protection. Meanwhile, all of the Empress Dowager's schemes appeared so pale and powerless in the face of this real injury. Gao Yan looked at my red and swollen face, bent down to hold me in his arms, and didn't glance at the Empress Dowager even once the entire time. The Empress Dowager unwillingly grabbed the hem of Gao Yan's black robe. Yan, Cheng Ningju hit me. Are you going to shield her? With a slight effort, Gao Yan's robe slipped from the Empress Dowager's hand, just like the man himself, never belonging to the Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager, please conduct yourself with dignity. If there is a next time, this subject will personally retaliate. Yan, for such a lowly woman, you would damage our friendship of so many years. If I hadn't blocked that fatal arrow for you back then, you would have been dead long ago. Gao Yan paused in his steps as he carried me away. If not for that past debt of gratitude, I wouldn't have protected you, mother and son, to this extent. The struggle for the heir's position back then was extremely fierce. If not for Gao Yan, the grass on the graves of the Empress Dowager and her son would be taller than a person by now. How would they have their current life of luxury and comfort? Even now, Prince C still eyes the throne covetously. Without Gao Yan as regent, the 10-year-old new emperor simply cannot hold that position steady. Yan, I am sorry. I am not trying to exploit your gratitude for my own gain. I just can't let go of that sincere and beautiful relationship we had. This king has never liked you. Leaving those words behind, Gao Yan wasted no more words and directly took me away. Mother Empress, your son will help you up. The young emperor bent down with concern to help the Empress Dowager up, but she waved her hand and pushed him away. Useless thing. You are already the emperor, yet you can't even help this dowager obtain one man. The young emperor lowered his head in embarrassment and waved his hand to dismiss everyone else. The Empress Dowager rose with the help of the nanny's hand, then raised her hand and struck the young emperor across the face. If this dowager hadn't entered the palace back then, I could have spent my life with Gao Yan. It is you, father and son, who ruined my entire life. After the Empress Dowager entered the palace years ago, she received exclusive imperial favor due to her stunning beauty, and soon gave birth to the current young emperor. The late emperor was overjoyed, and favored the mother and son even more. But the Empress Dowager could never be truly happy. She had gained supreme power, yet lost the person she loved most in her heart. She thought that as long as she endured until the late emperor's death, she could rekindle her relationship with Gao Yan. Unfortunately, she was wrong. Gao Yan apparently had no desire to engage in such improper affairs with her. Before, she could still console herself that Gao Yan refused to accept her love only because of their positions. Now that Cheng Ningju had taken the position of Regent Princess Consort, she finally panicked completely. When things get chaotic, mistakes easily happen. That is why today she didn't hesitate to lower herself to frame Cheng Ningju. But she never expected to lose more than she gained. Although the little emperor held the supreme position, having been beaten and scolded since childhood, he was very afraid of the woman before him. Mother Empress of Force Melon is not sweet. Uncle Gao doesn't love you. I beg you to let him go and let yourself go too. The little emperor's eyes were full of earnestness. Gao Yan was the person he respected most, and Mother Empress was the person he loved most. He didn't want either of them to be hurt. Impossible. He can only be mine. Watching the Empress Dowager's angry departing figure, the little emperor powerlessly lowered his head. After returning to the Prince Regent's manor, Gao Yan personally applied the ointment for me. I whined and acted coquettishly to tease him. Who told his rotten peach blossom to bully me? Gao Yan helplessly caught my little hand and pressed it down. Wife, if you keep making trouble, this husband will have no choice but to physically punish you. Thinking of last night's madness, I hurriedly shook my head like a rattle drum. Number Gao Yan stared at my pouted red lips, his eyes becoming burning hot, his throat unconsciously rolling. He threw away the ointment and pressed me down with the posture of a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey. Since you have so much energy, why don't we do something else? Before I could resist, my red lips were already pressed and devoured. 2 hours later, I finally had the ointment reapplied. I wanted to glare at Gao Yan, but my gaze had no deterrence whatsoever, and instead looked more like acting coquettishly. Madam, don't look at me with those eyes, or I'll think you are inviting me. I hastily looked away, cursing inwardly that men who get aroused are truly terrifying. Gao Yan chuckled softly and held me tightly in his embrace. Madam, I've never understood. Everyone fears me, so why did you insist on marrying me? Gao Yan, do you still remember the little girl you saved from bandits in Yong'an County 5 years ago? Hearing me call his name so solemnly, Gao Yan carefully recalled. Madam, you were that little girl back then. No wonder I felt a sense of familiarity when I first saw you beneath the embroidery pavilion. Gao Yan gently caressed my expressive almond-shaped eyes. I leaned against Gao Yan's chest and looked up at him. Husband, a life-saving debt must be repaid with oneself. Do you like that? Gao Yan reflexively swallowed, his voice coming out somewhat hoarse. I like it. Feeling the old man's power once again, I was on the verge of tears. This man is way too easily aroused. Ever since Gao Yan and I opened our hearts to each other, our days could only be described as sweet as honey and utterly shameless. A month later, I accompanied Gao Yan to attend the palace banquet. Gao Yan had a bad reputation, and the ministers feared him, so I, as the Princess Regent, was also quite unwelcome. I didn't mind, though, just peacefully eating and drinking, as long as I didn't cause trouble for Gao Yan. Oh my, I am sorry, Princess Regent, this servant deserves death. Please punish me. A palace maid serving food accidentally spilled the soup from the dish onto me. The palace maid's voice wasn't quiet, instantly drawing everyone's attention over. I looked at the large stains on my dress, feeling utterly unlucky. Seeing something had happened on my end, Gao Yan immediately wanted to come accompany me to change clothes, but was held back by the young emperor. Regent Prince, I still have a few questions I need to discuss with you, and the Prime Minister. Gao Yan couldn't get away for the moment, and with all the officials' wives watching me, I could only dismiss the troublemaking palace maid first and take my people to the side hall to change clothes. To ensure my safety, the maids Gao Yan arranged by my side all new martial arts. With their protection, nothing would go wrong. But I never expected that the bandits would dare to run into the imperial palace to kidnap people. Ha ha ha, Gao Yan. We're taking the Empress Dowager and Cheng Ningju with us. If you want to save them, come alone to the western cliff. With the Empress Dowager taken, the young emperor panicked. Regent Prince, quickly think of a way to save them. The Prime Minister was also sweating anxiously. Your Majesty, these bandits are clearly targeting the Regent Prince. This requires careful deliberation. There is no time to wait that long. Mother cannot come to harm. Your Majesty need not worry. I will go alone first, and the general will lead troops to ambush from behind. Good, will do as the Regent Prince says. The young emperor seemed anxious, but if one observed carefully, it appeared everything was within his control. The usually wise Gao Yan couldn't calm his mind to think at this moment. He had only one thought in his heart: nothing must happen to Cheng Ningju. Soon they arrived at the cliff on the west side of the city. A group of black-clothed masked men stood at the cliff's edge, holding knives against the necks of the Empress Dowager and Cheng Ningju. Gao Yan, you've got guts. Here is the deal. Let's start with a multiple-choice question. The Empress Dowager and your wife, only one can live. Who do you choose? You better think carefully. Whoever you abandon, we'll throw straight off this cliff. They're both your beloved ones. No matter which one dies, you'll suffer for the rest of your life. I want you to live in agony. The Empress Dowager had specially applied exquisite makeup tonight. At this moment, her tear-streaked face in the wind looked both stunningly beautiful and desolate. Yan, no matter what choice you make, I won't blame you after all. I love you so much. The Empress Dowager planned to retreat in order to advance, making Gao Yan feel guilty and sympathetic, thus choosing to save her. Gao Yan's gaze didn't fall on the Empress Dowager, but instead looked toward me, who had been quiet all along, neither crying nor making a fuss. I choose my wife. The Empress Dowager's pupils suddenly widened. She never expected that Gao Yan would directly abandon her without even a moment's hesitation. She didn't want to lose so completely and was still trying to rationalize. Yan, you are doing the opposite on purpose. Right. You are deliberately acting like you care about Cheng Ningju to make the bandits think she is the woman you love most. To make you suffer more, they'll naturally kill Cheng Ningju. Yan, thank you for thinking so much about me. As long as I can survive this time, I'll definitely break through worldly shackles to be with you, Miss Cheng. Don't be sad either. Being able to marry Yan in this lifetime is already your Cheng family's ancestors' graves emitting auspicious smoke. The criminals were confused by the Empress Dowager's words, and after discussing, they changed their minds. Gao Yan, the choice just now really can't test your true heart. How about we change the game? Now you choose to swap with one of them. The Empress Dowager's eyes lit up, and she spoke in a whiny voice again. Yan, go swap with Miss Cheng. I am willing to face death together with you. Watching Gao Yan walk toward me step by step, I, who had been silent all along, finally spoke up. Gao Yan, I don't need you to trade your life for mine. Remember to avenge me. Cheng Ningju, you are not allowed to die. I am your man. I must protect you well. Neither of us will have anything happen to us. I had wanted to actively crash into the black-clothed man's blade to commit suicide, but was shocked into stillness by Gao Yan's words. That is right, he is the prestigious Regent Prince. I should trust him. Ha ha ha. Gao Yan, you really are inexplicably confident. Today, this king will make sure none of you return. Prince A walked out from behind a tree, shaking his folding fan, followed by Ruan Ming, who should have already left the capital city. Ruan Ming looked at me gloating. Cheng Ningju, now you regret not leaving with me back then, right? I've already gained Prince C's favor, just waiting for him to ascend the throne as emperor, and I'll be a founding minister. Prince Ce thought he had victory in his grasp and wasn't the least bit afraid of exposing his ambitions. The Empress Dowager panicked at the sight of this. Wait, that is not how things are supposed to be. Kaoze, how did you end up here? Kaoze looked at the Empress Dowager and let out a mocking laugh. You thought all along this was a play you directed and starred in to test Gao Yan's sincerity and conveniently get rid of Cheng Ningju while you were at it. Too bad you forgot. There is a saying about the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. I've long since replaced the people you arranged with my own. Now you are really gonna die. No, I don't want to die. Kaoze, let me go, and I can make His Majesty the Emperor abdicate in your favor. Facing life and death, the Empress Dowager couldn't care less about love or status anymore. Oh my, your words have moved me a bit. But aren't you overestimating yourself? Do you think you are more important than the throne? His Majesty the Emperor is very filial. He'd rather die himself than let a single hair on my head be harmed. For the sake of Great Yu's realm, your son must disappoint you. But rest assured, your son will give you and the Regent Prince a grand funeral. Archers, prepare. The young emperor arrived with his army. He sat upright on his tall horse, his entire being radiating the aura of an emperor. The Empress Dowager was shocked once again. She shook her head in disbelief. Never in her wildest dreams did she imagine that the son who had always obeyed her every command would one day kill her with his own hands. Prince Yi and Ron Ming never expected that His Majesty the Emperor would ambush them from behind, and that in order to eliminate them, He wouldn't hesitate to have the Empress Dowager and Gao Yan shot dead as well. Wait, nephew, your imperial uncle was just joking around with the Empress Dowager and the Regent Prince. Quick, have all the archers stand down. We're all family here. Let's not hurt our harmony. Prince A could bend and stretch, hurriedly laughing as he tried to smooth things over. Sorry, imperial uncle, I took it seriously. Stop. Let your imperial uncle analyze this for you. The Empress Dowager is just a useless old woman. Dead is dead, but Gao Yan has stabilized the court and the borders for you. Without him, you wouldn't be where you are today. Hearing Prince's words, the young emperor's gaze fell upon Gao Yan. Uncle Gao, I am sorry. I don't want to kill you either, but unfortunately you are too formidable. How can the emperor allow another to sleep soundly beside his couch? If you live, imperial power can never truly belong to me. Only by eliminating both Prince Z and you today can I sleep soundly on my throne without worry. There wasn't much shock or disappointment in Gao Yan's eyes, as if he had anticipated this all along. Your Majesty, the reputation of my brutal killings. You are the one who embellished and spread it, aren't you? That is right. Not only Prince Z, but I had a hand in it too. A true emperor has no need for emotions. One general's success is built on 10,000 bones. Every emperor throughout history has risen to power by stepping over corpses. I hope you can understand me. The young emperor shook his head and sighed, his eyes full of reluctance toward Gao Yan. Your Majesty, until the very last moment, it is really hard to say who will win or lose. Prince Z, let's cooperate. Your men will cover me. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. To survive, Prince Z could only temporarily put aside his hatred for Gao Yan and choose to join forces for now. The little emperor looked at Gao Yan and Prince Z with contempt. Just the struggles of cornered beasts. Shoot the arrows. Gao Yan had me hide behind a large rock while he mounted his horse, and protected by the men in black, rapidly closed in on the little emperor. To catch the bandits, first catch the leader. Right now, there was only one way to break the deadlock, capture the little emperor. The little emperor naturally saw through Gao Yan's intention, but he didn't take it seriously. Uncle Gao, you are really overestimating yourself. Just accept your death obediently. The little emperor was too young after all. Gao Yan could take an enemy general's head amidst 10,000 troops, which showed just how strong he was. Even though he pulled the eunuch beside him to block, he was still pierced through the chest by the arrow Gao Yan shot. Only in death did he understand that one cannot be too arrogant. Leaderless, and since the Grand General had always admired Gao Yan, he directly led his soldiers to surrender to Gao Yan. With this, the rebellion completely ended. The great Yu kingdom could not be without a ruler for a single day. The new emperor was too young and had not left behind any heirs. The only one left who could inherit the throne was Prince A, but he voluntarily refused. He couldn't even prevail against a 10-year-old little emperor, let alone against the deeply cunning and calculating Gao Yan. Even without his people's help at the time, Gao Yan would have been perfectly safe, because he could see clearly that the Grand General had long been Gao Yan's man. Perhaps all of this was orchestrated by Gao Yan himself. With no one in the Cao family to inherit the throne, Gao Yan was pushed by the ministers onto that supreme position. Although the Empress Dowager lost her son, she showed no sign of sadness. Instead, she joyfully dolled herself up, eagerly waiting for Gao Yan to make her his empress. Even now, she stubbornly believes that she is the one Gao Yan loves most in his heart. But she didn't wait for Gao Yan. Instead, she was taken to a desolate temple to spend the rest of her days with oil lamps and Buddha statues. Gao Yan held a grand empress coronation ceremony for me. As we were being intimate, I couldn't help but reflect that when I planned to marry Gao Yan, it was only because I liked him and wanted to repay his kindness. Who knew that I'd accidentally become Her Majesty the Empress, and the Cheng family would also soar to great heights because of me becoming empress. Being able to marry Gao Yan in this lifetime, my ancestors' graves really are smoking green. This day, I was rubbing my 8-month pregnant belly while sunbathing in the garden due to the flower bushes blocking me. 2 palace maids sweeping the grounds didn't notice my presence and were huddled together gossiping. The whole capital city is saying His Majesty became a tyrant for love. That poor scholar Ruan Ming who slandered Her Majesty the Empress. I heard he was castrated and sent to Xinzhe Depot to scrub toilets. And there was the former Prince Ze, he almost killed Her Majesty the Empress. and was sent to a harsh, freezing land to tend horses. Shish, shish. Stop talking. Let's hurry up and get to work. After the two left, I touched my nose somewhat guiltily. Roan Ming's affair was my doing. Gao Yan took the scolding on my behalf. But he is my husband and the father of my unborn child. So it is only right that he bears it all. All right, rational thinkers, the complete script ends here. Let me summarize the core strategic logic of this story in one sentence. When everyone is playing power games, the person who uses sincerity as a weapon can actually win most thoroughly. If you also like this style of hunter disguised as prey plus sincerity for sincerity plus ultimate ascension to the top, feel free to follow my other works. See you next time.